Alright, Misty, so what I need you to do, you'll probably need to watch this video in large size on your big screen at 4K, and hopefully this will be able so that you can see what I'm doing. What we're going to do is we're going to open up. You need to go through all the files, okay? The only one that's not critical is this Tekla file, and you'll see he's a nightmare, but I'm going to actually go try to do most of the electrical and get it done. So what happens is when it opens up, shouldn't take too long to do, about a 15-second load. It holds up at the 5%. We still got a couple AutoCAD files we need to clean up. Okay, so what happens is this is should already come up in a 3D view, and I'd orient it around. Then what I need you to do is I need you to open up the schedule. In all the files, there's a schedule called Make Description Make Sense. It's right at the top because it has a dash in it. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do window tile. So you're looking at that 3D object at the same time as you're looking at this schedule. And what we need to do is we need to come down all of these and make sure that there's a description. This is what is going to be our tag driven. We just want to make sure all these descriptions make sense. Okay? So if I can't make sense, I can see it's a reducer, but the idea is if it doesn't make sense, you can then isolate the element, come in here, look at it, try to figure out what in the world it is, maybe turn everything back on, and that's a cable tray reducer. So what I need you to do is I need you to take that's one of the weird ones. I need you to take the cable tray, paste that in with the word reducer. Oh, didn't even spell it right. Reducer. And it's going to ask you if you want to save those, if you want to apply it to all objects. I find that if I just hit a double enter, it works just fine. So this one here is a little bit more challenging. It's a couple objects that I don't even know what they are. So I have been putting, if the description, if you can't figure it out, I want it to say unknown, because then I can go over with them those objects. But I just want to go down this list, and what I want to make sure is you will see sometimes they have a type that makes sense. Sometimes you'll see what category it is. That's why it says it's a conduit coupling. So this one here, you don't actually need to do the conduit runs in the electrical circuits, and it may not even, let's see if it will let you type it in. So you could put a conduit run, but we're not using those. But for our conduits, see, we just want to say conduit, and then what's going to happen, I don't know why I can't spell, maybe because I've been up for 38 hours straight. Conduit. Okay, and that's going to change all those. Don't be afraid to copy and paste when you can. Sometimes you're not going to be able to copy and paste. That's where I say hit that double enter. Like I said, circuits don't matter. Now with this electrical equipment, I've already done all the naming in here, so that all makes sense. But the electrical fixtures, see, if you really wanted to be smart, I don't know if you know what a VFD stands for, but it's actually a variable frequency damper. Variable frequency damper. That's going to do that to all of them. Then you're going to see that what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that thing and I'm going to put that same thing in front of this Okay. Now I just happen to know that one, but you could actually see if you went here maybe and selected over here, you'll see that you'd have 10 of those objects. Maybe you go to edit the type and you right here you see, well, that's where I just typed it in. It doesn't actually, there's never nowhere where it really tells you that's what that thing is. So it's just a fluke that I know it. So let's see what this object is. This, because it's these parametric devices, you know how they sometimes, and there's only one of them in here, and I have no idea what it is. It looks like it might be a penetration through a wall, so that might be something like a conduit sleeve. Okay, and I understand if you can't figure them out. I'm much more familiar with this project than you are, but when you're going to go into the architectural file and you're going to find you're naming things like the toilets and things like that. And the whole reason we're doing this is so that when you go into tag, this is what we're going to tag. So this is why we want all this stuff to be filled out. Then you can tag absolutely any object and get a logical thing to make our drawings look correct. So this object, if I don't know what it is, like I said, I select it in the schedule, I isolate the element, and you can see they've got 4 little objects. And these really would be a good one for us to say, what are these objects? We don't know what these objects are. Maybe when I turn everything back on, it'll make more sense. You know what those look like? Those look like some kind of conduit pull box. I have no idea what they're drawn. So, just like I showed you before, it's not a killer if you say unknown, because then we can come back and try to ask somebody in a meeting all the unknown objects. This one here, this is probably some kind of grounding rod or something. It looks like there's a lot of them around. So you see I isolate the element. Boy, oh boy, what could that be? And you'll see when you've already typed unknown once, it'll allow you to do it again. Notice how I put these all in the lowercase. See how I did the HVAC pump? So this one here, more than likely, the reason this guy doesn't have a name is because he's probably just truly a junction box. So you see over here where it says junction box? That's what I actually wanted to say. So I'm just going to copy and paste that into the description. So your job is to go down these descriptions. See, so this one here, what I would probably do is I would probably call it a receptacle. So this is where it's beneficial that you got the big screen. And then I'm going to take as well, Control C, so I can put that receptacle 30 amp, and then I've got a 60 amp or two. It's frustrating. It makes you paste it and answer that question twice. You'll get the hang of it. These here, this is a perfect example of where if I select this guy, isolate the element and go look at him, what you're going to see is those really should be a specialty equipment, but these are electrical mounting stand. Okay, and I would just make that for all those, because you're going to see those, they made different heights. They should really have made a more parametric one. And that I'm not worried about. I'm just trying to make it so all these descriptions, just in case you tag it. Okay, so this one right here, this generic model equipment identifier, that is the little label that's automatically appearing on these panels when I tell it what panel number that is. Okay, so that one you don't have to, but remember, you could, and see, it's gonna be, you can't select it. It wouldn't hurt for you to put equipment identifier in there, okay, but I don't necessarily need it. Here you can see we got a light switch, an occupancy sensor. Now, down here, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to make all these lights say something like they're a light, and this looks like it's a type WF. I don't know that I would put the word spotlight in it. I'd want to see what it actually looks like. Isolate element. There's 24 of these. And where the heck are they? Alright, so what these are actually a wall floodlight. Okay, I'd like to get as much information as I can from what I've seen here, along with what I see graphically. These here, you could type in a 2x4 type B1, 2x4 type BE1. You see the rhythm of what I'm looking at. 1x4 type A1. Obviously, we'd want to keep all of these without this uppercase stuff. You can see I've already done most of the electrical. So really all you got to do is the lighting fixtures in the electrical and all the other files. And if we get those descriptions working out, when you go to tagging, it's going to be an absolute joy. So I really appreciate if you get to do this. If not, no biggie. Talk to you in a little bit.